Previously on this special series of 58 Keys episodes, I have told you with certainty, with gusto, what the best iPad for a writer to buy is and what the best iPhone probably is. And yet I can't quite do that with Macs, not quite. And Macs are by far the best tools for writers, by far. I mean, based on price and what they can do, the incredibly long-lasting life, everything. I would love you to be writing on a Mac, and I would love to give you a single recommendation, but I can't. If I promise to explain it, would you mind settling for 2 recommendations? Narrow it down a little bit. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which, as ever, as always, is for writers like you and me who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. Do subscribe, follow, please. Helps me hugely. Now, the best Mac for writers. Well, let me lay it out for you. The best Mac for writers is either the MacBook Air or the 24-inch iMac. That's of right now, which is August, September time, 2021. Except, I mean, I wouldn't be making this series of specials if they were going to stop being useful, at about half past October or something like that. So I offer that these 2 are the best Macs for writers now, and well, I'm sure of it now, but I think they are also going to continue to be the best way into the future. Both are going to be upgraded. Apple will release new versions of both, and Apple will release new Macs, some of which are going to be extremely tempting, possibly also extremely expensive. But MacBook Air, 24-inch iMac. The MacBook Air is a notebook computer, and the iMac is a desktop one. Whenever you try to compare those 2, any notebook with any desktop or notebook, laptop, whatever you want to call it, you are going to usually get the same results. The desktop is always going to be more powerful because it can be. It's got the room to be. It doesn't have to have miniaturized specialist components or anything like that. It doesn't have to fit into the smaller shape of a notebook. I would have said that this means actually desktop computers are always better value, pound for pound or dollar for dollar. But funnily enough, that's actually less clear at the moment with Apple Silicon. What is and is always clear is that a notebook computer like a MacBook Air, well, it's always going to be more portable than a desktop Mac. So I am making 2 recommendations, but even before you look at things like the price or the features, if you know that you're going to be writing at home or in your office most of the time and never or hardly ever moving anywhere, the 24-inch iMac is the best Mac for you. Best Mac you can get as a writer. Whereas, if you are going to be moving around a lot, then the MacBook Air is by far the best Mac you can get as a writer. And then actually, there is this, very unusually. The MacBook Air, it starts at £1,000 or $1,000. The 24-inch iMac starts at about £1,250 or dollars. So for once, the notebook is actually cheaper than the desktop. I would say that I'm recommending the best Mac for you. I know I've just mentioned prices there. I'm trying to find the best Mac for you. I'm conscious we're writers, we're on a budget. I don't think being on a budget means buying the cheapest. I think being on a budget means spending the right amount of money on the right thing, the thing that is right for what you need and will last you. And both the MacBook Air and the iMac will do that. Let's take the MacBook Air first and compare it to alternatives within Apple's range. The MacBook Air is currently it's the cheapest complete Mac that you can get. So complete Mac of any kind. There's the Mac Mini, which is significantly cheaper, but you get the Mac Mini, you have to buy a keyboard and monitor and these things. So MacBook Air is a complete unit, and it's the cheapest of those. MacBook Air runs on the M1 Apple Silicon processor, which means it's faster than just about any Mac from before the Apple Silicon days, possibly the top-end Mac Pro accepted, not sure about that. It's certainly plenty fast enough for anything you or I want to do as writers, and maybe anything else with one proviso. If beyond writing what you do is something that really stresses out the M1 processor, the most common example is video editing. So, lots of data, lots of time sensitive stuff, lots of precision needed, lots of performance needed. That's the word I'm looking for. Then the MacBook Air can do it, but after a bit, it starts to overheat. whatever processor you're using, whatever Mac rather, it overheats, it's pressing. The MacBook Air, though, has no fans to cool it down, has no cooling apparatus at all. So all the MacBook Air can do when things are getting hot is to slow down the processor so that it cools down itself. That means the MacBook Air is capable of doing anything that the higher priced MacBook Pros are, but not for as long. That's it really. This is a reason why people buy the more expensive MacBook Pros. They're pretty much the same in so many other ways, but that thermal throttling, as it's called, is really key. I don't think it will be for you as a writer, but if you do, like I do, run a business through these machines, do video editing, do audio editing, it is something to remember. The 24-inch iMac is the best desktop Mac option for writers, but it isn't the only one. You could spend less, actually, like I say, and buy a Mac Mini, but like I said, you have to buy the other stuff, the monitors and things, and the cost comes back up. You could go the other way. Actually, you could go all out and buy a Mac Pro, but since it currently starts at around £5,000 or dollars, I feel that might be excessive for just typing on. If you know you need one, you know you need one, and most likely you don't, but it is there. Again, this is August, September 2021, and I think right now, the 24-inch iMac, it's kind of at that sweet spot. I was concerned about the 24 inches because I used to use a 27-inch iMac and I thought it would feel cramped, but I've used one now and my concerns are just erased. It's a fine screen size, it's a great price, it's a really gorgeous display in a great machine. Don't honestly 100% know how much more I can recommend it or what else I can say about it. It's that good, it's that simple. Let me explain that the MacBook Air currently starts at £999 or dollars and the 24-inch iMac starts at £1,250 or dollars. Both start there and you need to decide upfront whether that's enough or whether, well, it's certainly enough to pay, but whether there's enough in them. You need to make decisions at the point of purchase. You can't add options later. The options for both machines include more RAM, more working memory, and more SSD storage space. Currently, you can have 8 gigabytes or 16 gigabytes of RAM, but doubtlessly that's going to get out of date quickly. That's the thing that's going to change the soonest. Further Macs, surely, doubtlessly, will have the ability to have more RAM, but actually the answer about how much you need and what 8 and 16 and 32 means is always the same. Buy as much RAM as you can possibly afford. That's it. You can't have too much RAM. It always helps the machine. It always helps the machine last longer. It's a very good thing if expensive. Storage space, similar thing, get as much as you can. The MacBook Air and the iMac start with 256 gigabytes of storage, which is okay. I once had a machine with 128 and it was paralyzingly slow. You've spent all your time trying to find things to delete to save room. 512 is better still. 1 terabyte is great if you can. And the MacBook Air, if you buy the storage stuff, well, you move to 512 gigabytes, it makes it the same price as the iMac. Move the iMac to 512 and it means paying out £1,700 or dollars. There are a couple more things, though, to do with price when you make these changes and go more expensively. One is actually if you buy a more expensive version of the 24-inch iMac, you get a greater range of choice. You get more options for colours, which is not to be ignored. You also get more ports for connecting to other devices, and as standard, you get a keyboard with Touch ID. So just as with the iPhone or the iPad, you log onto the machine with just a gentle touch of your finger, or you make purchases with a tap on the key. Also, possibly key, the MacBook Air comes in 2 versions, and the 999 one has a 7-core GPU, where the more expensive one has an 8-core GPU. Just so what? You know, you're never going to tell the difference unless you have a laboratory, a stopwatch, and a sonic screwdriver. Either is fine for what we need to do that. Actually, I think the 7-core GPU ones are just, they had some where the 8th didn't work or something. I don't know. Actually, what I always used to do when buying a Mac, over the lot of years, is I would actually skimp on the processor. I'd go for the fewer cores or whatever it was and put the money instead on more RAM and SSD. But actually, since the great leveling day of Apple Silicon, that hasn't really seemed to be much of an issue anymore. Still, as much RAM, as much storage as you can get, and you'll be happier. If you were to press me though on one Mac to buy out of these two, out of all of them, I'd say the MacBook Air, but with an awful lot of twitching about it, because that 24-inch iMac is very, very nice. I mean, it's so nice. I'd say the 24-inch iMac, no, MacBook Air, it's the cheapest, it's portable, so you can use it on the go and when you're back somewhere. Yeah. I didn't buy it though. I didn't buy the MacBook Air. I didn't buy the 24-inch iMac either. I bought the Mac Mini that I mentioned earlier. Chiefly, almost entirely, because at the time I bought it, there was no 24-inch iMac. There was no Apple Silicon iMac. And in fact, now that I've used Apple Silicon, there's no possible pixel on earth that would make me go to an old Intel Mac. There was the MacBook Air, but the Mac Mini was cheaper, and I already had things like this monitor. I would like this monitor to be the same gorgeous high resolution as the 24-inch iMac. I'd love the top to bottom height to be like it is on the 24-inch iMac, but the side to side width is really useful for me, and I would find it very hard to go back to a smaller monitor, although that iMac, yeah, I'm really helping here, aren't I? I love Macs. I think Macs are the greatest tool for writers, maybe since the pencil. And I say that to you, even as somebody who loves writing on iPads. Yeah. One thing though, Macs are expensive, and there are ways to buy it. Ways to buy Mac or any Apple devices for less than the published retail price. I mean, it's complicated. If you're following this on 58 Keys as it comes out, then at the end of this week of episodes, there'll be one that's all about how to get the most value, how to spend the least, how to spread the cost, all that kind of thing. If you're watching after this week, then check out the Best Apple Devices for Writers playlist on this 58 Keys channel, and you'll see it all there. Thank you very much for watching this. Thank you too to the UK's Arts Council for their help in developing these special episodes, 58 Keys. I'm hugely grateful for all they've helped me out with that. It's just brilliant stuff. But listen, you know, I love that you're watching this. Shouldn't you be off writing something like I should? Take care of yourself, hey. Let's both write some more, and I'll see you soon.